What is up? We got breaking NFL news within the AFC East this morning. Jaylen Waddle is gone out of the division. He's not a Buffalo Bill. Sorry, Dan. I know that's one of the guys you wanted, but it's all good. You got DJ Moore. Listen, we're going to break down everything you need to know about the breaking news about Jaylen Waddle and all things around the NFL. Welcome to Fourth and Forever. Dan, how you feeling, bro?
Man, I'll tell you what, dude. Yesterday I saw like some screenshots of some big moves that happened in the NFL at around this time, March 15th through the 17th. And I just had a gut feeling that something was going to happen. And it's pretty clear, man. Like this Waddle trade, there's a lot to unpack. What it means from the Dolphins' perspective. Is this like the end-all, be-all? Nobody can deny that they are all but in a full tank mode in 2027. But then also on the Broncos' perspective, did they get robbed as far as the compensation that they needed to send over, especially having a relatively light free agency period? I'm definitely feeling it, man. I'm definitely feeling it. And I'm feeling even better about that DJ Moore selection as well, like based off of all the compensation.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the details of the transaction between the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins. Now, I wish TD was here. You know, his schedule got messed up after this breaking news happened. He has to go do some dad duties right now, so hopefully he'll be back by the time we're done with this show. But, you know, TD, as you know, Dan, has been very optimistic about his Dolphins. And I wonder if this is going to make him more optimistic. And listen, there's reason to be optimistic for every team, but he's been like inflating Malik Willis, and the Dolphins are going to be great when they're tanking, man. I mean, this is exactly what I expected them to do. They needed to get a reshape of their assets. They needed to get a lot of capital. They really want to build this team from the ground up with the new regime, and I think that's what they did. And getting the 30th overall pick in this year's draft is definitely valuable. But I feel like when you talk about a first-round pick for a guy like Jaylen Waddle and knowing exactly where it is at the bottom of the first round, and then you mix in some mid-round picks, and I don't know if the Dolphins got as much as you think. What do you think? Did the Broncos get fleeced, or did the Dolphins get fleeced?
Oh, man. Well, so I look at the Miami Dolphins draft compensation, right? So they have the 11th overall, 30th via Denver, have 1 second-round pick, and they have 4 third-round picks. So they have an exceptional amount of draft capital from day 1 and day 2 of the NFL drafts. This team kind of knew what it was going to do this offseason, regardless of any Dolphins fan coming out and saying, oh, no, like we're actually trying to compete in 2026. Give me a break. Give me an absolute break. I know that you could be optimistic about guys that you could potentially bring in the draft, but very rarely are you ever going to see high-quality veteran type sort of production in year 1 from your draft picks, let alone once you start getting into day 3 or late third-round type picks. So my question becomes, what's Malik Willis thinking right now, Rich? Like, what's Malik Willis thinking right now? Like,
I would assume they told him this was in the cards when he signed here. Unless they're just keeping him in the dark. They're like, oh, yeah, welcome to the Dolphins. Just so you know, we're shopping and going to be trading Jaylen Waddle. Because you look at the wide receivers now, Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tolbert, Terrence Marshall Jr., Malik. This is the worst receiving core in the NFL. They're obviously going to add receivers. I mean, they should in the draft with all these assets that they accumulated. But, man, it's a very interesting time for the Dolphins. And I told Dolphins fans, man, you got to embrace the tank. You got to embrace this retool, rebuild period, and it's got to get ugly before it gets pretty. And I just don't know how. My question to you, Dan, if the Dolphins are quote-unquote tanking, why would they sign Malik Willis to $45 million guaranteed? Why wouldn't they go after a Geno Smith for a veteran minimum, or a veteran that's very cheap that will tank? But instead, they're committed to Malik Willis like they think he's going to be their guy.
So I feel like when it comes down to it, I think that they're throwing as many darts on the board as humanly possible to walk away with a QB. I really think that that's the case. I'm not
They're probably going to draft
out,
one too.
Yeah, and so I'm not ruling out that they draft one in this first round. I wouldn't even like rule out if, for example, that they draft another one in the first round in 2027. This has been something that they have been struggling to figure out is knock out the most important position in all of football, and that is the quarterback. In fact, I think when you look at the Miami Dolphins, you see that team is the perfect example of if you don't have that position figured out, it doesn't matter how many bells and whistles you add to your offense. It's going to end up a sort of metaphorical burning building. So I look at the Malik Willis contract on Spot Track, and if I remember correctly, last time that we spoke, like they have an out after year 2. And say, for example, he goes out there and he absolutely stinks, then they could very easily walk away, trade him, right, in 2027 if anybody wanted to take on that said contract, and they could just go back to the drawing board. But this was a much-needed move from Miami. But it's going to be an awful season for fans. It's
what I've been trying to tell TD.
It's going to be a really bad one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is a move that needed to be made. It really does. This is the last guy on their team that has value. I think Devon Achane's the next guy that has a lot of value in terms of trade. But I think that, when it comes to the Jaylen Waddle trade and you recoup all these assets, you're getting a first, you're getting a late third and a fourth, and you're also packaging a fourth and the 11th in that round. So you're kind of moving around in the draft, getting better capital. It also frees up money a little bit because they are not the team that has all the cap space in the world because of Tua's contract that they're inheriting with all the dead money. So very interesting spot that the Miami Dolphins are in. And, some people are going to say that they're going to be competitive and all that, but this is a first-year head coach. This is a first-year general manager. And I think that you got to embrace the tank. And what I mean by tank, I think that tanking is a very interesting term. When I say tank, I just feel like you got to rip it down to its bare bones before it can be grown from the ground up. And that's exactly what the Jets did last year, and they continued to do. And I think that this is smart. This is absolutely smart. The last time the Miami Dolphins had people in charge that would do something like this, it's been a while, man. Chris Greer has been their GM for a long time, trying to win now. And now they got to clean up the mess that they inherited with Chris Greer trying to win now for all these years because they are in a huge hole and they're trying to dig themselves out of it.
So what I want to do is transition over to the Denver Broncos, right? Because they spent a relatively big haul, right? They ended up sending over a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and they conducted a fourth-round pick swap. Yes, they are getting a Jaylen Waddle, who is, by the way, way older than I initially anticipated. He's about to be 29 in April. I had no idea that he was that old. However, they are sending over all of that draft capital. Prior to this, they only re-signed some of their homegrown players from last year. Not a single other addition out of free agency outside of retaining their own. And now they're going into this draft class with no first-round pick, no third-round pick, a second-round pick, and a couple of fourths, fifth, sixth, and a seventh. Now, I'm looking at their depth chart, and I feel like that there's really not many massive holes on the roster. But as far as being let's build a big contender so that we can regularly find ourselves in positions to play for the AFC Championship or a Super Bowl, this is very largely, in my eyes, we're trying to win the Super Bowl this year. I think that's what's going through this Denver Broncos mind right now. What are your thoughts on that?
No, 100%. This is a move. The Broncos were one win away from the Super Bowl, and I really think that if Bo Nix did not get hurt, they would have been in the Super Bowl. I believe in that. I really do think that the Broncos were just playing really good ball, and that game against the Bills was very electric, of course, and they were right there. They were knocking on the door. So, of course, they're going to go all in, and this is a great trade for the Broncos. Absolutely fantastic trade, because now look at their weapons that they got. They got the young quarterback on a rookie deal. They got the great head coach, and now they got to keep building the weapons. Cortland Sutton's not going anywhere. Troy Franklin really developed into Bo Nix's security blanket. They have that chemistry from Oregon, and now you add Jaylen Waddle to the mix, the speedster that's going to be able to take the top off the defense. The one thing about Bo Nix that I like is his deep ball. His deep throws are very, very good. So I think that at the end of the day, only time will tell, but this is a big move for the Denver Broncos to add to weapons around Bo Nix. This is a big year for Bo Nix, too. So I don't really think a lot of people believe in Bo Nix right now still in terms of like a top tier quarterback in the league.
No, it's something you do when you have a rookie contract. Just load them up with talent, and they were able to retain J.K. Dobbins. I'm not sure if Cortland Sutton is still wanting to find another team. Maybe he's feeling a little differently now that he has Jaylen Waddle on the squad, or maybe that's even, further putting out there that, hey, I don't want to be a part of this team anymore. I'm not getting the targets that I believe that I should. But I feel very comfortable from this point right now that this Denver Broncos team is going to repeat winning the AFC West. I really do.
You think so? Yeah, I think it won't be easy. The AFC West is very tough. It really is. The Chargers could get better. We don't know what the Chiefs are going to be. And I definitely do want to talk to you about the Justin Fields trade eventually later on in the show, because I think that with Mahomes' injury, it really opens up a lot of situations for the Chiefs in the division. But, this is a team in the Denver Broncos. Their defense is really going to be their backbone, and Bo Nix's development is only going to see. Now, I think Jaylen Waddle is a year younger than you said. He's 27, turning 28, which is just a 1 year difference. That's basically my age. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a correction there.
Yeah, man. I look at a lot of these teams in free agency, like now that the first wave is over with. Second wave is coming. Like, we've seen a couple of moves. We saw that Wyatt Teller just signed with the Houston Texans. Finally, that team is actually putting serious consideration in the trenches. We saw that Hollywood Brown is now a part of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? So, we're starting to see a couple of other players start to trickle down. But there's one topic that has been keeping me up at night. We've seen teams that finished dead last in the basement, but then the following year they did enough in free agency and in the draft where they ended up making the playoffs. So here's my question to you, Rich. Out of the three teams who have been big spenders this free agency thus far, the New York Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders, / the Tennessee Titans, out of any of those three teams, if you had to choose one that could actually make a turnaround and be a wild card team in 2026 / 2027, which one are you picking?
I will be picking the Titans.
Oh, you're a Titan guy, brother.
I don't know, man. I've been a Cam Ward guy. I think people are sleeping on Cam Ward. Now, let me just make sure I say this. He didn't really do much in his rookie season where it's like, yeah, people are going to sleep on him. He didn't do much. But I think that the Giants are the easy answer because of John Harbaugh and everything. But there's a new energy with the Tennessee Titans. They've spent a lot of money, got a lot. I don't know. There's a running joke in Jets land right now, Dan, because I'm not sure you're aware of this. But the Titans have brought in every single former Jet they possibly could imagine on defense for Robert Saleh. Traded for Jermaine Johnson, brought in John Franklin Myers, brought in Solomon Thomas, even Tony Adams, building a lot of guys on that defense. I think that it really comes down to Cam Ward and his progression. And he's got he's got Brian Daboll now, the best coach that you can ask for him to have. So I'm really high on the Titans this year. I think they could be one. And Robert Saleh is not a first-year head coach anymore, which I think is important. He knows what to expect. He's going to be calling plays on defense. He can trust Brian Daboll to run the offense while he focuses on the defense. They added a lot of talent this offseason as well. And I think that it's really on two things. How quick does this team buy into the system of Robert Saleh on defense, and how good are they going to be? And number two, Cam Ward's development. Is he going to take that next step? Because if he takes that next step, Titans are a team to watch out for.
The Titans are a team. So would you say that one of the AFC South Titans would fall, or are we looking at a 3-team AFC South type playoff?
Colts basement. Colts in the basement.
Colts would be in the basement, but you would have the Texans and the Jags who both made the playoffs, and then the Titans. So then you're saying that the Titans would be able to beat either one of those two teams, or this AFC South division is just so quality.
Know, I'm not high on the Texans, man. I mean, as great as their defense is, CJ Stroud has just given me no reason to believe.
His cheeks, man. Yeah.
Their defense is good enough, though, to carry them.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And then I think the Jaguars are going to be the team to watch to take that big step, because the big thing about Jacksonville is Trevor Lawrence. Is he going to be the quarterback he was to finish off the season last year? Because if he is, that's an MVP candidate. But that's not a big enough sample size to believe Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to do that because he didn't do that in the playoffs when it matters the most. So, very interesting division. I think that's one of the most intriguing divisions in the league. And make sure you guys go check out the AFC South Roundtable because they have been fun to watch recently because of their whole dynamic.
So I may be a bit early to the party here because the draft hasn't happened yet. However, my team, Richie, is the New York Giants. I think as long as the New York Giants spend a lot of their draft compensation on building up those trenches, maybe adding a couple of other names on the offensive line, you can't sleep on how busy Harbaugh and this new regime has been this offseason. They have added Darnell Mooney. They have added Isaiah Likely. They have added Patrick Ricard. They have added Calvin Austin III. They have added Tremaine Edmonds and Greg Newsome to their defense. This team, their problem has always been offensive line and has always been secondary and coverage capabilities. If this New York Giants team has a B-plus graded drafts, I think that this team surpasses the Washington Commanders and they become a wild card team and make the playoffs for the first time since I believe it was 2021 or 2020. I'm high on the Giants this year. Now, this is integral, obviously, of Jackson Dart taking that second-year jump, but we've seen a lot of these QBs do it. We saw Bo Nix do it last year. We saw Drake May do it last year. I'm high on the Giants. I think the Giants are a wild card team in 2026. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting prediction. I think it's possible. You're talking about Harbaugh is definitely the biggest piece to it, and Jackson Dart staying healthy. Malik Neighbors coming back is a big part of it. Cam Skattebo, of course, coming back, which was really the only thing they had to be excited about for their Giants fan last year. Offensively, they both go down, and you're like, outside of Jackson Dart, of course, and their defense just got a complete overhaul. I think they're adding a lot of pieces to this team, and you named it, man. Their offensive line is something that they're going to have to really hone in on. Bringing back Evan Neal was an interesting decision, one of the biggest busts that they've had in recent memory in the first round. But hey, Harbaugh is one of those coaches that can easily come in and instill, the comparison I have for the Giants is the Patriots. It really is very similar to what New England had last year. They had Drake May coming off a rookie season where he showed promise but not greatness, and then they fire their coach, and then in year 2, they bring in an established coach like Vrabel, like they're doing with Harbaugh, to come help and fix their brand new quarterback they just drafted in the first round the year prior. And the Patriots went to the Super Bowl in that first year. So if Jackson Dart takes a similar step to Drake May, then you're on to something. So I definitely feel like that is something I cannot push back on. But there is a lot of hype, man, with the Giants, even here in New York, in terms of like the media and sports talk radio. Like in New York, man, they are the talk of the town right now. There's a lot of excitement within Giants fans.
So I'll tell you what, man, like we actually see one of our interns in here. Shout out Austin. Austin in the building, been writing a bunch of great articles for us over on the website. He's a Giants fan, and he's saying, yeah, I could definitely see an Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles going into it. In my eyes, Rich, with Malik Neighbors coming off of an ACL tear, I feel like the Giants have to go with Carnell Tate at 5. I feel like they need to, because what they truly need is interior offensive line help. I think that if you go after Carnell Tate with 5, you can go all the way to the second, and then you're seeing some of those interior offensive line prospects right for your picking. You can go with a Kalen Rutledge in the late second or the third if you wanted to trade down. You can go for his name is Chase Bisantis from Texas A&M as well, where you could easily plug and play. Adding Carnell Tate plus Malik Neighbors plus Darnell Mooney, have Isaiah Likely, Jackson Dart just takes a middle of the road step up in the right direction, then load up on the defensive side of the football. Could this team be good enough to dethrone the Eagles for the division? I don't know.
Yeah, I would push back on that. I personally disagree. I think they need to go defense bad in terms of their roster right now. I think that Malik Neighbors is good enough where you don't need to go after another wide receiver at the top. I think that their defense has like one of those pieces away of getting a Sonny Styles being the captain of that defense, being, the Ray Lewis, like, he was with Baltimore, or CJ Mosley. Like, I think that's what they need more than anything, like a captain on that side of the ball, or even, going after someone like Kyle Hamilton, but in this case, Caleb Downs. I think they need that difference maker on the defensive side of the ball. Harbaugh is all about, establishing that gritty mindset on defense. So I think they got to draft defense or offensive line with that pick, personally.
So with that being said, some of the big names, like remember, you did just end up adding Tremaine Edmonds, who is still a very good Mike linebacker. You could add Sonny Styles. You could add Arvell Reese. But then there's also a world where they can go for Mansour Delane from LSU. And they could also, listen, if Harbaugh wants to go and find himself his own Kyle Hamilton, they could shock the world and go for Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon, who is a very impressive safety. I'm curious to see what the Giants do. TD, we were just talking about, out of all three teams that have been the biggest spenders and finished in the basement last year, that was the Giants, the Titans, or the Raiders. What team do you think has the best chance of making the playoffs next year? Rich chose the Titans. I chose so with the New York Giants. Your thoughts on it?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Welcome to the show.
Are they the
welcome to the show?
Are they the loaded Titans?
Well, now I think we're transitioning over to the loaded New York Giants, because I feel like the Giants are loaded right now.
Yeah,
I do.
This is a tough one. This really, truly is a tough one to pick. I'm gonna have to go with the Giants. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like they made a lot of key moves. We still don't know what Cam Ward is, because the Titans have screwed that up. They have to figure that out first. But I know that with the Giants, I mean, we still don't know who he is either.
That's what I was about to say, but we know who Jackson Dart is.
Yeah, so this is tough because it starts and ends with the quarterback. But I would say from a supporting group, I would go with the Giants. They already had a good group over there, and they've added some more to make it even more competitive. That division, I know some people may disagree with what I'm about to say, but that division could be wide open this year, the NFC East, when you really think about it. Unless, Commanders get back to form and the Eagles, tighten up from their lows of last year, but it could be open. But I'm going to go with the Giants regardless. I'm going to go with the experience, but it is a new staff as well. New guys over there. This is a real tough one. And to be quite honest with you, let me just qualify by saying this. I don't believe in either team this season. I believe that both of them can show a little bit more competitive spunk than they did last year, but I still think that both teams are not playoff ready.
All right. Well, that's an interesting take as well. Now, since we've talked about the Titans and Giants, I do want to get your thoughts real quick of the Raiders. They're the third team. I think that the big X factor is, of course, how good is Fernando Mendoza right away? Is he living up to the hype? Is he good enough to elevate the team around him? And I think Tyler Linderbaum coming on in at center is going to be a big help for him. Center quarterback connection is important. The Raiders, in my opinion, and you guys can disagree, I think last year was the worst supporting cast around a quarterback in the entire NFL. And that was just the case all across the board. Chip Kelly was just an awful offensive mind. He gets fired after week 11. He tries to come back to the NFL. How are they going to rebuild that offense around Fernando Mendoza? I mean, they got Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers, but they don't got any weapons on the perimeter. They got to invest in the wide receiver position, and their defense is still like, I don't know what to say about their defense. I don't really see anything, with Max Crosby potentially on the way out. What's your guys' thoughts of the Raiders heading into this upcoming year?
Oh, man. So I like what they've done with the offensive line. You have Tyler Linderbaum at center. You have Jackson Powers-Johnson as your right guard. I still think that you need to invest a bit on the interior offensive line. I also think that your tackle position needs to be addressed again, and then maybe just one more perimeter guy. Who are they going to bring in? It's clear that Fernando Mendoza is the number one pick, but there's still a lot of offensive line help that needs to be established. One thing about college quarterbacks is that almost all of them don't operate up like under center. They are almost always exclusively out of shotgun. Boom, hand it off, shotgun, drop back, find the open man. So, what exactly is this brand new head coach going to expect from Fernando Mendoza? Is he going to throw him in with the Wolves and just be like, look, dude, we're going to be operating under center? He did a hell of a lot of that over in Seattle, and that's half of the reason why they were so good. Play action was completely incredible. So, if Las Vegas wants to get the most out of Fernando in year one, they better, number one, pray that he's able to transition into a guy that's comfortable with operating under center. And then number two, they better address that offensive line. And then maybe add some sort of playmaker right in the second round, try and trade back up into the first if necessary. But I still think that it's going to be some growing pains with this new regime. TD.
Yeah, I agree with you. I see no light at the end of the tunnel right now for the Raiders. Yeah, they can get Fernando Mendoza in, which is going to help the team. But who is he throwing the football to outside of Bowers? With a young guy like that, you need a wide out. You just can't rely on one tight end. I mean, you got a solid run game. You can have a solid run game, but you're going to need that weapon on the outside, and they have done nothing to address it. I don't even like who do they have, Dan? I don't even know who's at the receiver position.
So their wide receivers. So their wide receivers, they just signed Jalen Naylor, who was recently a Minnesota Viking. He was a wide receiver 3 for them. They have Jack Betch. They have Trey Tucker, Dante Thornton, who was a draft pick last year, right in the mid rounds. They have Shedrick Jackson, Philip Dorsett.
Naylor their best receiver, and he's at number 3?
It depends on how much faith you have in Jack Beck, just being able to take that next step up. But so they are very slim in that category. Very, very slim.
Yeah, they got a lot of work to do. And you said, who did they draft last year?
Last year they picked up Dante Thornton. He was a wide receiver. He was decent, I guess, but that's just kind of where he was. Like once he ends up getting into the second round, wide receivers that are available is Denzel Boston, who I'm not a big fan of. You have Chris Bell. You have Chris Brazel, Skylar Bell, Bryce Lance.
They don't have any more first round picks, just the number one.
It's just the first, not unless they plan on being wildly aggressive and trade back up into the first. It's going to be tough sailing for them, I think.
Man, they have Trey Tucker. So he's a solid guy.
Yeah. Trey Tucker and Dante Thornton, who were draft picks of theirs throughout the past couple of years. But it's that, and then so their
also have a regression at quarterback.
So their perimeter corners suck as well. And so with their corners are awful. Is Max Crosby going to be gone? Maybe they can still trade him and gain another first round pick. Who knows? But I still feel like that they're one off season away. And I don't know. Say that I am the head coach of the Raiders. I am doing my best to sort of halt the development of Fernando Mendoza, not force him to operate under center as much as humanly possible, and just let him do what he's comfortable with doing. Just maybe like operate out of shotgun as much as humanly possible and hope that you don't ruin the young man right before it's too late. Like that's me.
And a big thing for the Raiders too is look at the Seahawks that what Clint Kubiak had there. The arsenal at his disposal for Sam Darnold to work with, and even Geno at times before he left. JSN, Cooper Kupp. I mean, you're talking about Kenneth Walker. You're talking about phenomenal skill positions. They don't have that right now. So when they made that trade for Max Crosby and they got an additional first, I was like, yeah, they're using that extra first on a wide receiver. Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson, they're definitely going to get a playmaker there. But no, they don't. I said that originally they did. And then that trade fell apart. So I don't know if they're
there with Max.
So they don't have an extra first anymore. And now, that's a whole other thing. We'll see how that materializes. Yeah, we were never really able to talk about that. That was like the biggest NFL thing. But a little too late to talk about that now.
I have a question for y'all in regards to the AFC West, that is, right?
I don't know if you know what that is.
Well, you verify. Which division is going to be better this year? AFC West or the NFC North?
Which division will
NFC
be
North.
better? Which division will be better?
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Why
You
would
think?
it be easy to you?
Because I think there's 4 potential playoff teams in the NFC North. I don't think there's 4 potential playoff teams in the AFC West, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd probably lean toward the
Minnesota
NFC
going to the
North.
playoffs?
Who?
Minnesota is a playoff team this year, you think?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, look
So
what they don't forget how many games did they win last year with JJ McCarthy?
Yeah,
I get it.
So
but
9.
Denver-
So Kyler Murray, I think with those weapons, I don't think Kyler's going to be an MVP or anything like that. But I think with Kevin O'Connell and his coaching staff and his system, I think if their defense would still run by Brian Flores, I think the Vikings could be pretty good.
But Denver, Chiefs,
is when Kyler Murray,
Raiders,
Broncos.
Raiders.
Yeah, so the Raiders are really dragging them down in my eyes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Like
So the
Jets.
Raiders are really dragging them down in my eyes.
The big X factor is the Lions, man. They missed the playoffs. Are they going to be better this year? Are they
Yeah,
worse?
they could even regress more. They see. Oh,
Ruben wants to join us, it seems.
No, man.
He's coming in.
I'm telling y'all, man. Just something to think about. The Denver just got a lot better. We talk about
And the Miami Dolphins got a lot worse.
No. This is beautiful for us. Don't do that.
So, all right. So
Malik Willis can be the best quarterback in the division with who throwing the ball?
So one thing I did kind of want to discuss, since we are talking about this NFC North division, Chicago Bears, right? They have been mostly sellers this offseason, right?
This is true.
Sellers for the Chicago Bears, and they led the NFL with 23 interceptions last year. Did you know that they have either traded away or walked away from 5 different players that accounted for 18 of their 23 interceptions in 2025? So they have all but wiped out their interception production. Now, granted, Chicago was bottom 10 in the NFL for virtually every other defensive metric. That included stopping the run, and that included coverage, but they had the ability of being able to take the football away. They've added a couple of different pieces that could maybe help out some of those other metrics, but are we nervous that Chicago may not be able to repeat what they did last year, and they're on a path for regression in 2026? Because remember, had 23 picks last year, and now there's 5 players that accounted 18 of that number. They are no longer there.
It's
TD, is this will the Chicago Bears regress based off of this offseason movement?
It's so hard to say. You can make an argument that they will, and then you can make an argument that they won't. But they won so many games off of late game heroics by Caleb and stuff like that. Can he keep that up? They did sell a lot this year, and sometimes you add through subtraction. You get better from getting rid of certain players, like the Dolphins are going to be this year, getting rid of some of the top players. But the Bears, they subtracted. But Caleb, man, can you bet against the kid? He's been just that phenomenal, especially in the clutch moments. That's what it's really about. But it's possible for them to regress a few games, kind of be the Lions of last year. And I could see that very well happening. I just don't have anything right now to say that they're going to be better. But the draft can make them better. So we got to wait and see. We got to see how they do in the draft, if they bring in some people in key positions that can really elevate the roster.
Yeah. So rumors were swirling around that team that they were in on the Max Crosby conversation. And why interceptions were so important in Chicago last year was because they just didn't get pressure on the quarterback. Bottom 10 in the NFL, bottom 10 in every other metric, right? Now they walk away from DJ Moore, who was a very quality weapon for them. Like he was their go-to in clutch situations off to the outside. Now they walked away with all that interception like production. So Rich, would you say it's an overreaction that the Chicago Bears may regress next year based off of all of their moves?
No, I don't think it's an overreaction. I think the big thing is, and TD alluded to it, their defense may take a step back, but their offense got to take a step forward because there's not much they're missing there. I know they traded away DJ Moore, but they still got dogs on that team around Caleb Williams. Their offensive line is still stout. They still got DeAndre Swift. Shout out to Swift for helping me win my fantasy football championship. But I think that it's all on Caleb Williams taking that next step because he showed greatness in such a tiny sample size when it mattered the most in games. But can you stretch that out into like first 3 quarters of games? Can you be consistent? Because I genuinely believe he's got MVP talent. I think that if he can unlock the greatness that he possesses when the game's on the line, he has these wow plays, if he can stretch that into consistent ball, the defensive step back is not going to be felt as much because that's how great he is in those moments. And Ben Johnson's also one of those brilliant offensive minds. So I think that it'll be neutraled out. The regression of the defense may be felt, but there's going to be a progression of their offense.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, we did just get some breaking news. All right. Wyatt Teller has signed with the Houston Texans on a 2-year deal, attempting to assist with CJ Stroud in that offensive line. Richie is not impressed. But we have our good friend, Ruben in the building. What up, Ruben?
Hey, Richie was doing his best Aaron Glenn impersonation right there. Don't sleep on Wyatt Teller, baby. What's going on, my round table family? How we feeling?
Ruben in the house, man.
I'm glad you're here, Ruben. I've been meaning to talk to you for a while because is it unfair for me to say that CJ Stroud is starting to look washed?
Yeah, it's very unfair, but I don't expect anything less from you, TD. You're a Dolphins fan. You don't know what a good quarterback play is. You haven't seen it in a long time. Look, don't worry about it. We're building a line for our quarterback. We're telling him, look, we know what happened against New England, but we're going to go ahead and get you 4 new starters, bring back one of them, and we're going to make sure in 2026 that you're able to throw the football and your RB is able to have some lanes. Shout out to David Montgomery also.
Well, it's perfect to have you here because TD's got to run. So it's great that Ruben is coming on in to replace TD as we wrap up Fourth and Forever. TD, Jaylen Waddle's traded. Sorry to hear that. Goodbye.
Hey, we're going to the Super Bowl.
All right.
What?
All right.
Don't
man.
even let him finish, man. Don't even let him finish that.
All right, dude. So you know what? Like I've been a big critic of Houston for just ignoring their offensive line. I love the Wyatt Teller move. I do. Right. Question though. Now that the draft is right around the corner and the second wave of free agency is sort of still upon us, are there more moves on this offensive line that you think Caserio is going to address before the draft even starts? Or what direction are you guys going for further roster building?
I think for this free agency period, they're done on the offensive line. They brought back Trent Brown. They brought back Ed Ingram. They signed Evan Brown, who was a center/guard, and then now just the Wyatt Teller moves. I think as far as free agency, we're done. The draft, though, you have 4 picks in the top 70. The Texans are going to be able to make some moves. I like Vega Ioane from Penn State. I think he'll be fantastic here as a left guard. I love Emmanuel Pregnon, but I would like to address the offensive line in the draft as well.
One of those 2 names will be Jets.
Feel bad for them, man.
You shouldn't. But listen, I think we did have an interesting topic before you came on earlier, Ruben, about your division, the AFC South. And I think that there's a lot of interesting things going on within your division. And Dan asked the question, who out of the 3 teams that are in the basement around the NFL that spent a lot of money could potentially have a big improvement? The Raiders, the Giants, or the Titans?
And by big improvement, and so I mean make a wild card slate.
Okay.
Richie chose the Titans. And I chose the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to be swept by the Titans. And you know why, right? Because you know who Robert Saleh is. Robert Saleh is the man who broke CJ Stroud. You know that, right? Like, he's responsible for breaking CJ Stroud into the person he is today. So you're getting swept by Tennessee this year. And I think that if CJ Stroud does not show any signs of improvement, you're not going to be able to just ride the backs of your defense this year, man.
That is a fair point. I will say that the Houston Texans have owned the Tennessee Titans. And, right, you bring Robert Saleh, I bring you D'Amico Ryans. I bring you one of the best defenses that absolutely made Cam Ward look silly last year. The year before that made Anthony Richardson tap out, something we never seen before. Look, in regards to CJ Stroud, I agree. This is year 4, and you have to make a decision whether or not he is your franchise quarterback before you have to make a decision, which I'm happy we're in that decision. You know, I'm not in a Jaguar situation, a Dolphin situation where I give these guys big contracts when they haven't really done nothing. CJ, 3 playoff wins, 2 division titles. In his short 3 years, he's done a lot, but the 4 interceptions is what that big stain is on. So I believe the Tennessee Titans will get better, but not to the point where they're threatened for a wild card spot when, you know, I got Houston doing their thing. And then I'll show some love to Jacksonville, even though they're not doing anything in free agency. And I think it's kind of, you know, naive to bank on these compensatory picks in the draft. But I'll give Tennessee their flowers, though. They're making some moves.
So who's your way too early prediction to be in the basement? Colts or Titans?
I think it has to be Indy. I think it has to be Indy. Like, even though Daniel Jones could potentially come back, like, how is he rehabbing right now? A broken leg, a torn Achilles.
Yeah, he's not back till November. Like, minimum.
Yeah, they're losing. You know, they lost Braden Smith, their right tackle. He now comes here to Houston. I think it's the Colts. I did not buy their crazy 8-game run. We all knew it was going to come to an end, and it eventually did. But I think they will be the team that could just fall back. And not only that, why it's going to hurt more and benefit you, Richie, because you have their first-round picks. So
I know it's what I wanted to hear, baby.
It's going to be tough.
First overall pick going to the Jets because of the Colts. You're telling me, Ruben? Arch Manning could be a Colt, but no. He's a Jet.
So you mentioned the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? And so you mentioned the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you and Dalton on the AFC South Roundtable is always exciting to watch, especially as the playoffs were gearing up last year. They have had a very quiet, like, free agency, right? They've said goodbye to players like Devin Lloyd, who is definitely a big piece right over to their defense. My question to you was the Jacksonville Jaguars' success just a flash in the pan, or are you not as concerned about them going into this next offseason based off of the moves that they have not made so far?
I wouldn't say it was a flash in the pan, because I do believe in the coaching staff and Liam Cohen and what they had. I love the work that he did in Tampa Bay. And, you know, with guys like Devin Lloyd, with guys like Travis Etienne, who are now on different teams, you know, they were kind of homegrown, coming off of a big year for both of those guys. So I don't think it was, it just happened. However, with the little moves that they have made and the subtractions that they have, I mean, you lose your best linebacker, you lose your leading rusher. Those things are going to catch up to you. I played one game last year without Azeez Al-Shaair against the Las Vegas Raiders, and Ashton Genty had 165 yards. The week later, we absolutely shut down the run. I do think it's going to affect them. I'm excited to see how they handle that, but they're really going to be banking on coaching staff to have a jump in year 2.
So what about Trevor Lawrence, though, right? We loved trolling Trevor Lawrence for the first 6 years of his career. Finally has a good one last. Is that sustainable in your eyes? Or will the old Trevor come back to bite us?
I feel like it's going to come back to bite him. It did in the playoffs when he threw a 12-inch meatball sub with extra provolone right over the field. But he's given me more bad games than good games.
Mm-hmm.
How many playoff wins does Trevor Lawrence have? Just one. And that was an insane comeback against the Los Angeles Chargers, who they themselves are ass in the playoffs. So I really don't know how to make of Trevor Lawrence. I mean, if I'm Jaguars fans, I'm thinking he's finally arrived. Well, 6 years later, thank God. But now let's see it 2 years in a row. I mean, you lose a playoff game in Jacksonville, AFC South years, you absolutely blow it. Your quarterback didn't look good. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. He's still
I think
good.
with Trevor
but
Lawrence, though, his sample size at the back end of that season was the big question I have is now that that's year one with Liam Cohen, it clicked at the back end of the year. If he's going to be able to build on the mistake he made in the playoffs and bring that into next season and stretch the performance he had in those 9 games into a totality of 17 games, you're literally talking about an MVP candidate because those 9 games wasn't like, yeah, Trevor's playing pretty good. He was balling, man. He was making plays where you're like, wow, that's the type of throws that a first overall pick is supposed to make. Like he was making those wow plays athletically, picking apart the defense. Like the talent was there. It wasn't just like it started to click and he's playing good finally. Like he was playing great. So I think that's the big thing with Trevor is will it click enough with him and Liam Cohen with this new offense in year 2? And I think it may. I really do. I think that it may. I think their approach, though, in this offseason is interesting, not going after guys in free agency to recoup on those draft picks for next year. It's going to be a big step backwards at certain personnel spots, but they're going to have to hit on their draft picks this year. And a big X factor for Jacksonville, too, is Travis Hunter. Is he going to be impactful? I mean, they traded up for the guy last year, and he didn't really have any impact, and he got hurt. So what is he going to look like?
And so I thought I read that like they're going to transition him almost exclusively over to a DB. / maybe wide receiver. Yeah,
which is like a huge kick in the nuts, man. Because if I traded up, a huge draft haul for a cornerback who is not even a top 5 cornerback.
Don't they not have a first this year because of that trade?
They do not have a first.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they don't have a first. Well, boys, like we did end up seeing a pretty big trade this afternoon. We had Jaylen Waddle being sent over to the Denver Broncos for a first, third, and a fourth. And we saw some other big trades this offseason. Max Crosby to the Ravens for about 3 seconds. So I got to ask, are there any other big trades on the horizon that you are willing to throw out there as your hot take prior to the NFL draft? Is there another big name that's going to be moved? And if so, to where? Rich, go ahead.
Brian Thomas Jr. to the Jets.
Would that excite you? Like, would that excite you? Because he's scared to hit. Like, he's scared to get hit. And I'm talking about, like, he is terrified to get hit.
He's terrified. No, I think that Max Crosby trade could come back. I think that is a thing that the Raiders can definitely explore. You're going to have to look around the NFL and try to make these predictions because trades definitely look up right before the draft. I think A.J. Brown is an interesting name. They just brought in a Hollywood Brown. Does that mean that A.J. Brown's going to be on the way out? I think that is a guy to watch. Brandon Ayuk. I think that there's some reports coming from there. But yeah, I think that there's going to be definitely some trades coming up in these next few weeks leading into the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. Hard to really gauge it, really hard to predict it. But I think the Jets are going to make another trade. Darren Muji has made 11 trades since he's been named the Jets GM just last year. Let that sink in. That's a lot. It's a lot, man. 11 trades in 1 year as a GM. So I'm not shocked if the Jets make another trade.
Real quick, boy, sorry to cut you off. So the deal for Wyatt Teller is 2 years, $16 million with the max value of 23 with incentives. And then Jeremy Fowler says that the Houston Texans brought in 5 offensive line signings over the last 10 days and might not be done. So is that a trade for a center? Because that's the only area of need I think we would need, but exciting to see.
Excited to see, man. Listen, an $8 million AAV type contract. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an out after year 1. Say that it doesn't work. Solid contract, man. Ruben, another big trade. Do you think it's going to happen? To whom and where?
I feel like there's a lot of static with A.J. Brown going to the New England Patriots. My only question is what type of compensation is A.J. Brown going to get after what we saw Waddle get? Because I think we can all agree a first round and a couple more was pretty steep for Waddle. I could only fathom what A.J. Brown is going to get. And if he goes to a contender, they're going to tax on that. I would say A.J. Brown going to New England. That would be crazy. But that locker room will be funny. You go from Stephon Diggs to A.J. Brown.
Stephon Diggs to AJ Brown on the New England Patriots. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully that would not be the case. But
what if he goes to Buffalo? What would you give up for AJ Brown?
oh, dude, I'm just happy with DJ Moore.
Really?
Yeah,
those effort plays don't concern you a bit?
No, not at all, man. He was just pissed at
We're being
field.
a little naive, brother. If I would have saw him fucking half-assing it, and I'm like, bro, come on, what are we doing here?
Hey, listen, you know what, man? Like, we just got off like with a head coach that really valued culture and like choir boys on the team. I'm fine. And so with a little attitude on this squad, bro. Have DJ Moore, he's giving up on plays, and you have CJ Gardner-Johnson like causing problems. I'm fine with that.
I like TJ. I wish he would have worked out in Houston.
Yeah, a great question. Why didn't he work out in Houston in your eyes? Was it play or was it him just being an asshole in the locker room?
I would say a little bit of the first part, but some of the latter. This DeMeco Ryans defense needs you to be smart, needs you to be technically sound. And when the Texans went 0-3, CJ Gardner-Johnson gave up 2 plays in each and every single one of those games, which led to, the Texans losing. Also the offense didn't help out, but in the locker room, he was saying things like, well, why do I need to do this if this guy's getting paid this much? He was talking about Jalen Petrie. He was pocket watching, which, what are we doing here? Why are we talking about how much dudes get paid and what they need to do? But energy wise, you love it. I do think he is loved in the locker room and he gets like a bad rap, but he also does things where you're like, okay, we can see why people freaking hate you. But I hope it works out for you guys. He's definitely like when it's a big play and it happens, you're like, that's why we brought him in, because the energy right after, he's hyping up the entire crowd, and then he'll give up a huge play, and then, he's pouting to himself on the sideline, and you're like, come on, we don't need that from you, especially from a Super Bowl caliber safety.
Oh, my God. Dan, get to it.
Oh, what the hell? What was that, Richie?
So that's Bob. So our boy Tony always sends in a super chat to hit Bob behind him, who is the ref that he just annihilated, which almost took down the entire bookshelf.
Does Bob know he's a part of this?
Yeah, he does. He does.
Bob is aware. Bob's been through a lot, man. Dan fills up Bob, if you know what I mean. A lot.
Dude, I bet. Where was Bob after 13 seconds? Where was Bob after 13 seconds?
I think Danny's due for a little fill up there.
Yeah, dude, he was not there for 13 seconds. I bought him last offseason, and I just beat the shit out of him like when I'm doing my live play-by-plays.
And shout out to your Bills boys, man. Dom and Justin, dude. They're valid.
Yeah, dude. Dom and Justin. By the way, man, first accredited experience with the NFL at the Combine, man.
Dude, it was a dream come true. When I first got the message from Rich, I was like, all right, man. Yeah, I didn't want to say I flaked on the Senior Bowl, but
you flaked on the Senior.
I did. I technically did. I was like, I can't miss this. I had told my boss, I was like, look, man, I'm willing to lose my job over an opportunity like this. So just get into Indianapolis.
I will lose my job over this.
I will lose my job. I will walk out this bitch right now if you say I can't go. Getting into Indy. The Ubers were cheap, first of all. $9 to get to downtown, not bad. But just seeing the players.
How was the club scene in Indy, bro? How was the club scene, man?
CJ Shy was right when he talked about the city of Indy. He was right. But
the highlight was our spicy shrimp.
The spicy shrimp.
Ruben's reaction. We may have to show your reaction right now because your reaction.
And it's because I listened to freaking Dom when he said eat the whole thing. And
dude, that was my favorite part of the day, of the whole trip.
You see, Dan, Ruben, like why it sucked is like normally I'm used to like Mexican food, and when it's hot, it lingers. It's there the entire, it's there the entire. This was.
Yo, can you remove your screen, Dan?
Yeah, got it.
Heat was gone.
So guys, there's this famous thing that goes on in Indy. They're famous for their spicy shrimp cocktail that is like extremely hot. So I got a video of all of us, including Ruben, So this is
Me
Ruben.
without a fade, by the way. Dan, I went to the combine without a fade.
With no fade,
It
bro?
would never happen again.
No
All
fade,
right.
Ruben.
Never happen
All right,
again.
I'll forgive it, man.
All right, well, here is Ruben trying the famous St. Elmo's. Can you guys hear it?
No, I don't think they need to hear it, bro. It was just a lot of coughing.
Oh, no, you got to hear it, dude. You got to hear it, dude. Are you kidding me? So, Dan, are you familiar with this famous trend?
I've seen it on social media a time or two.
You have seen it on social media.
Yeah, I have.
It is.
It's that
something-
hot? It's that hot, really?
Is that hot for 10 seconds? And
It's
mean
like a
10
wasabi
seconds.
hot.
Okay. Just kicks your
And then
ass.
it's gone. And I was like, oh, like completely gone.
Yeah, so here it is. I'm going to pull it up right here.
And someone's saying no fade, and you're from
That's
Houston?
what I'm, bro. Listen, bro. You see, like I'm fresh now.
Yeah. Nah, man, it happens.
All right, Ruben's up. Ruben, the famous hot shrimp.
It's really not that bad. It's just the first bite.
I gotta take a shit, bro.
Eat it faster than I did too.
Oh, you faced the whole thing.
Yeah, it hurts your nose, bro.
He's about to throw up.
Oh my god.
I'm not
Okay,
eating,
right
I'm not
there,
eating
that's
that
when it
fast.
went away, and I was like,
No, I
whoa.
cannot eat that fast.
And did you just take Justin's beer?
I mean, I'm just not eating that fast.
Why would you tell me to eat it fast?
Fuck you up? Is how fast you ate it?
Yeah, you told me to eat it fast, and I did. I was like, why would you tell me that, Don? If you would have said take a small bite, I mean, I probably would have had the same reaction, but I felt like I was gonna throw up. But as soon as I stepped up, it was gone.
Yeah, it like hits you like a bomb for like 10 seconds and it goes away.
So it shouldn't be going to
Justin's
clubs
beer,
anyway. Huh?
and so it looked like you walked to Justin's side of the table and took his beer.
No.
Like-
No. He was
like,
he
no, I
was
fucking
drinking
hate
wine. I was just smacking beers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Smacking some
I wonder
beer.
if Dan can handle it. Dan, you like spicy stuff?
I fucking love spicy food, man.
It's a unique
I love
spice though because it's like you like wasabi.
I do. Yeah.
You know how wasabi goes into your nose?
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Like
this
that?
is times a
Bro,
million.
I thought it
It's
was
just
gonna
like
come out.
Yeah.
I thought like I was like, all right, that's why I got up.
it's just like and this was my reaction when I ate the shrimp as well.
All right, Richie.
All right. We got the world famous
See how little that bite is?
shrimp cocktail here in Indianapolis. Wish me luck. What do you mean little bite? It's going to go in.
Look at that.
Wow. That's great.
I thought that shit was going to come
That
out.
is phenomenal. It tasted so good, though. I'm not going to lie. It was delicious. So that is our Indianapolis experience. Thank you guys for watching. I mean, with Ruben here, we had to reveal it.
Yeah,
It was fun. I had a great time.
It's fun. I just signed us up for the draft, actually.
Whoa. I hope you guys get it.
The draft in Pittsburgh, man. We got to figure out
In Pittsburgh.
fucking
Well,
Pittsburgh.
Let's
brother.
get back into the super chats. How are you doing, bros? Bean's looking more smart every day in the off season goes by, in my opinion. What do you think? By the way, Bill's Mafia TikToks was hilarious.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You're talking about the character I created?
Definitely
Chets
is.
and Cheektowaga? Yeah, dude. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. He's going to be making his rounds. We gonna see, Dan. We face both divisions this year. We do play.
Y'all
It's
come
the
to
AFC
Houston
West and
again,
AFC
baby.
North.
You come to hell when you come here in Houston, man.
I hate that stadium, man. I think Seattle is running to the phone right now and asking what it would take for Achan right now. Maybe a deal gets done at the draft. I'd say it's pretty clear that Miami's on a fire sale. It's pretty clear. A 2-win team, I'd probably have to say.
A-Chain should be available. If they're going to sell everyone, sell everyone.
I would give 28 for A-Chain if I'm Houston.
And so you'd give what now?
28 for A-Chain.
For a running back? You'd be a first-round pick for him?
For A-Chain, yeah. Bring him home. Him and David Montgomery. It's over. Don't even throw the ball.
It's over. Well, folks, we appreciate you guys tuning in to another edition of Fourth and Forever. Thank you to Ruben for coming on in and joining us. If you guys want to go check out Ruben's YouTube channel, make sure you do so. He'll also be live tonight on the AFC South Roundtable representing Houston. Ruben, thanks for joining.
Thank you guys for doing a show like this where I can join with some breaking news.
He was pumped, man. He was pumped about his Houston Texans addressing that offensive line, dude.
He's like, get
It's
me
not
on,
Sonic
man.
and Knuckles no more. It's chopped and screwed now with David Montgomery and Woody Marks.
Chopped and screwed, man.
The worst running back duo in the league. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.